Hi there, everyone. My name is Nikki Taylor. I'm a Student Services Advisor with eCampus and would like to welcome you to our Discover eCampus Student Services session as a part of our open house events. Hopefully everyone can see the screen and can hear us okay. If you cannot, please post in the chat and we have someone joining us, Jason, who might be able to help troubleshoot that. So first, I'd like to begin our session with a land acknowledgement. It's important, especially with eCampus, because we're perhaps all over Mi'kma'ki. So Jalasi, welcome. NSCC is located in Mi'kma'ki, the unceded territory and traditional homeland of the Mi'kmaq Nation. Our relationship is based on a series of peace and friendship treaties between the Mi'kmaq Nation and the Crown dating back to 1725. As treaty beneficiaries, we recognize that we are all treaty people. Also, what's really important to recognize is African Nova Scotians and their contributions. So NSCC recognizes the African Nova Scotians as a distinct group who arrived here 400 years ago. From that time on, they have contributed to the infrastructure and economic wealth of the towns and cities they helped to build, but from which they could not benefit. Let us learn more about how our respective communities were shaped by the historical contributions of African Nova Scotians to Mi'kma'ki. So as part of our open house, thank you for joining the session. You can, if you have questions throughout the session, you can submit them in the chat. And we have NSCC members answering the questions throughout the presentation. So don't hesitate to reach out. If you do have specific questions after the session ends, or if it has to do with your NSCC application, you can contact recruitment@nscc.ca. So I'd like to take a moment to turn it over to some other panelists that are joining us today so they can introduce themselves.
I will go first. I'm Andrea Ferguson. I am one of the Student Services Advisors for eCampus. I advise our business administration, nonprofit leadership, digital marketing, and startup accelerators. So welcome.
Hi folks, my name is Quinn and I'm one of the student accessibility specialists for eCampus. I actually work with eCampus and Cumberland campus, so I'm located here in Spring Hill today. But yes, I work with folks who identify as having a disability. So nice to meet you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Andrea Hill-Lair. I'm the Manager of Student Services, and I just wanted to let you know that everyone who participates in the session today, because you've registered, your name will be entered in a draw for a gift card.
Fantastic. So part of the session is, looking at why eCampus. What makes us uniquely different than some other campuses or some other programs? The programs and courses that we offer are either delivered asynchronously, which means you learn at on your own time, or synchronously, which means you have scheduled classes. Asynchronous and synchronous, even though we say work on your own time, every course has an official start and end date and due dates for projects, assignments, and assessments. With eCampus, you are connected with an advisor, so someone like myself and Andrea, who can help you with course planning, goal setting, and getting access to supports and services that are available to you. It's really unique. We have campuses from one end of the province to the other. And as an eCampus student, you can actually access those services, resources, and supports. So the library, you can go in and use the computer lab. And once becoming a student and enrolled in courses, you can even get a student ID card, which also acts as your library card, so that you can go in and use these services and supports. The other unique thing about choosing eCampus is that you get to choose your own learning environment. So you could work from home, you could work from a coffee shop, you can work study while traveling. Again, making sure that you hit your due dates, because that's going to be important. And the cool thing about eCampus too, which I think a lot of students don't think about, is that every program has a work placement or like a capstone project where you get to apply all the learning that you've had in your program to industry or to your field of study. Usually the work experiences are at the very end and are like a capstone. So they're, you have to have completed all your other courses to actually do that part. So when we talk about asynchronous programs, they are delivered fully online, and they're delivered through predominantly self-directed courses with, like I said before, assignment deadlines that you need to meet. So kind of how it works is that you would start a program, you're enrolled in courses, and then you'll log in to a learning management system called Brightspace, and that becomes kind of your virtual classroom for you. So you'd be logging in regularly, you'd be following along, doing your readings, maybe watching some videos, depending on how your course is delivered. With the synchronous programs, they're delivered fully online as well, but you probably are going to have a combination of scheduled classes using Microsoft Teams, so that's similar to Skype or Zoom, if you're familiar with those. And then you'll have some non-scheduled classes or courses, perhaps using Brightspace. Again, everything will have due dates. And all courses have official start and end dates. Now, when it comes time, if you're really interested in applying to the programs, all of our programs, you have to look closely because they may have a full-time option only, a part-time option only, or they might have full-time and part-time. So as an applicant kind of coming into a program and submitting your application, you'll have to choose what it is that you want. So I advise for office administration, and sometimes students are like, I really want the full-time option, but I see that it's waitlisted, so I'm going to go for the part-time option. What I would encourage a student to do in that case is still submit your application to the office administration program, but you'd put your first choice, the one that you really, really want. So say it's office administration full-time, even though you see it's waitlisted. And then your second choice would be office administration part-time. If there's openings in the part-time option, you'll be accepted to that. But because your first choice was full-time, you'll always be considered for that if there's an opening.
Nikki, also,
Yeah.
I think worth noting is when you're considering full-time and part-time studies, typically if you're working full-time, part-time course load is something that would work better for you. So I would say the bulk of our part-time students are working, and that's the flexibility that eCampus offers you, is the ability to work full-time while studying.
Yeah. I mean, really, if you think of a full-time program, that's going to be, probably around 35 hours a week, maybe with some study time. So full-time programs are really full-time study. Part-time programs, it really depends on the program. We recommend, depending on the course, anywhere from 6 to 10 hours per week per course. And we can get into the details of that later on. This afternoon and this evening, there's actual program information sessions for School of Business, School of Access, and they'll go into that in more detail. But if you have a specific question about a program and, hey, how long, how many hours, put it in the chat, and one of the advisors can probably answer that for you. So I've broken down our programs that we offer first by asynchronous delivery. So remember, those are the ones where you do not have scheduled class times that you need to show up for. But you do have a start and end date, and you do have due dates. It's Academic and Career Connections. So that's a program for students who may be missing a few academic credits to go on to post-secondary study, something that they may have missed in high school. Administrative Professional. So that's a new name, but that would be formerly the Office Administration Program. The Adult Learning Program Academic Upgrading. Sometimes Adult Learning Program, Academic Upgrading, and Academic and Career Connections, it gets a little confusing. Adult Learning Program Academic Upgrading is similar to the Academic and Career Connections program. It's really good for students who may be missing no more than 2 academic credits from high school. You can apply to that program. It is free, and take no more than 2 courses. So say a biology and a chemistry. If you needed more than that, you could come over to the Academic and Career Connections program. Adult Learning Program is a program for students who do not have high school yet. So you can apply to that program and you would graduate with a Nova Scotia high school diploma for adults. The other program that we offer, Business Administration, and there's a part-time or full-time option. This is a kind of a diploma, so it's 2 years full-time, 3 years, correct me if I'm wrong, Andrea, part-time, and part-time or full-time, and you can choose a concentration. Early childhood education, which is part-time. We offer 2 funeral programs, funeral and allied health services and funeral arranging and directing. One is full-time, one is part-time. We offer a library and information technology program that's part-time only. And we also offer a nonprofit leadership program, which is part-time. And you'll note there it is not student loan eligible. And that's because it's only offered part-time. We don't have a full-time offering anywhere at the college. So some eCampus programs that are synchronous delivery. So that is knowing that you are going to have classes that you need to show up for. We offer the Adult Learning Program Afrocentric Learning option. We offer digital marketing, full-time, food service and nutrition management, which is also a full-time program, IT programming, and full-time, and a startup accelerator, which is a part-time program. The one thing I want to try to do a little bit later is take you on a little tour of our website so that you can see where the program costs are, where you can see if there's openings in courses and that type of thing. I just don't want to mess this up right now. Services that we offer through student services at all of our campuses is accessibility services, career and employment services, enrollment services, financial supports, learning support services, student life and engagement, so that'd be like student services, and wellness services, which would be, counseling and that type of thing. There's a few slides to go into these a little bit in more detail for some of them. Enrollment services is really, registration and enrollment, document requests for forms, if you need to request a transcript, that type of thing. Each student that comes to eCampus is assigned a student services advisor, so like Andrea and I. And really our roles is to help you kind of when you hit a bump in the road, when things aren't going so right and you're not quite sure where to turn and you need to explore that with someone. We also know the services and supports that the college offers, so we can connect you quickly to those supports, including things like cultural supports for Indigenous and African Canadian students, and also accessibility services, which we're going to explore a little bit more in depth in a minute. We can help answer financial questions that you may have, help with budgeting, help you apply for student awards and bursaries, which I'm going to talk about a little bit more, can help you navigate college information requirements and processes. A lot of our information is on the website, but sometimes it can be tricky to find. Can help you explore strategies and use resources to make the most of your college experience. So say there's something you really want to explore. Maybe you want to travel internationally, or maybe you have a really cool business idea and you're not quite sure how to get started. There's lots of different programs that we offer with the college where you can explore that a little bit more. And as your advisors, we work really closely with faculty advisors. So you'll be assigned a faculty advisor too, and with academic chairs. So if you can kind of picture in your head, you have your student services supports that works closely with the academics, and then you also have the technology that helps keep us all connected, like Office 365 and Microsoft Teams and that type of thing. Just to explore a couple services in a little bit more detail, there is advising for African Canadian students. So even though you might be assigned an advisor, say Andrea or I, we can help you get connected to African Canadian supports that are more culturally specific for students. Can learn about resources on and off campus, help in more detailed planning and learning career choices, getting guidance on bursaries and scholarships, connecting to possible funding options, accessing tutor supports to help you along the way, and also taking part in experiences and events that honor and celebrate African heritage. So I'm going to turn it over to Quinn just for a minute.
All right, thank you, Nikki. So again, my name is Quinn, and I'm one of the student accessibility specialists that works with eCampus students. I kind of share the role with my colleague Chris. So if you're a student with a disability and you're looking for our supports, you'll either be working with myself or my colleague Chris. Let me say, so again, I work with folks who identify as having some sort of disability and may be experiencing barriers in learning when they're coming to school. If you're someone who had adaptations, for example, in high school, maybe you worked in a resource room or you had extra time on assignments or tests, those are the types of supports that we're offering here at the college as well. They do look a bit different, I will say. So, and especially if you're an eCampus student, it often feels like quite an independent like space to learn. So just keep in mind that we are here to help, but we need to hear from you. And yeah, it's always good to communicate early in order to get support set up. So really there are two kind of main things that I work with students on. So one is what's called accommodations. So again, I mentioned adaptations. That's kind of the term that they're using in high schools. But if you need specific supports to help overcome barriers, yeah, again, I'm the person to talk to about that. Another big thing I do is I work with a lot of students who are funded through Nova Scotia student loans. And there are actual specific grants for students with disabilities available through student loans. And these are grants that you don't have to pay back once you finish the program. They can pay for things such as a laptop, or if you're a student who maybe has a physical disability and you need a specific chair, that's what you can pay for, these grants. Also things like tutoring. So if you are connected with someone privately and you need funds to pay for tutoring, you could actually apply to have student loans send a grant for that too. So I always recommend students, if you do identify as having a disability, even if you don't need accommodations, it's a good idea to identify with student loans too, because there's extra supports that you might be able to access. If you do have questions about any of this, and maybe you're thinking about coming to the college and what could it look like for you, depending on your circumstances, feel free to reach out to us. So there's an email address on the screen here, but it's actually accessibility.ecampus@nscc.ca. Okay, so I might get Jason to pop that in the chat as well. So it's accessibility.ecampus@nscc.ca. And another good resource too, if you've got questions about how to access the supports or what type of documentation that you might need to get these supports, a great resource is our NSCC Get Started page. So if you look up NSCC Accessibility Get Started, there's some great resources there on what you need to access our supports. I think that's all I have for now, Nikki, but if anyone has any questions, feel free to pop it in the chat, or you can email me again. Our moderator, Jason's just posted the email address in the chat there. So happy to work with you, and I wish you all the best.
Thanks, Quinn. One important thing to think about when considering studying with eCampus is program technology requirements. On our main NSCC webpage, each program will have program technology requirements listed. So depending on your program, most are going to say like a budget-friendly computer, and it gives you a list of specs. What is really important, especially for business programs, is making sure that you have like a laptop or a desktop. Chromebooks are not recommended. They function more in apps, so it's kind of like your phone or like an iPad, and you're unable to download the full version of, say, database. So when you go to try to use it, it doesn't look the same as what you're studying in your program. So making sure you definitely have a laptop or a desktop. Macs for some programs we also recommend avoiding because we are a PC college and it's Windows based. So unless you're comfortable navigating around in that, and if you already have a Mac, reach out to us because it might be able to be used. There are some workarounds, but due to compatibility with software, we definitely recommend PCs. You're also going to need, because we say you can, kind of work anywhere, you're also going to need reliable internet connection. That's a must to be able to connect with your eCampus programs. So just to take a minute to chat about awards, NSCC offers over 3 million in student awards each year through the NSCC Foundation. Some awards are specific in criteria, say for example, these high school entrance awards that you see on your screen, but many others are based on financial need, demonstrated leadership, volunteer experience, career interests, and for some academic standing. We have two kind of major rounds of awards. So one would be in the spring for new applicants who have applied, so they're entrance awards. And then we would also have in progress kind of awards. So right now, lots of students are applying for awards. What's really cool and what I really love about our awards process is that you can apply for multiple awards at the same time with the same application. So when you go into the awards portal, the portal's going to, because you're a student or a confirmed applicant at that point, it won't work right now for you. But once you apply, you've been accepted, that type of thing. You can go in and based on your student ID number, it's going to know what program you're in and what awards you might be eligible for. So then you can filter through the ones that you would be eligible for and then make your application. So you can submit, say, for example, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 different awards with the same application, which is really cool. And then that same information is there for fall if you apply for more awards. So thinking about becoming a student, first you're going to choose a program that you're interested in. And this is where I'm going to take you a little tour to see eCampus programs and admissions requirements and that type of thing. You'll apply to your program, and by attending today, you will receive a link to your email address with an application to apply to NSCC for free. It's important to kind of look at the program and its availability because some of them do fill up quite quickly, and we show that on our site. You get one application and you can include 2 choices. So it could be 2 different programs, or it could be the same program like I described earlier, but 2 different options. The other thing that you're going to want to make sure that you follow up with is to ensure that we have your transcripts and everything that we need in order for us to assess your application. Once you get your acceptance, so you meet the entrance requirements, your program has openings, you're admitted, you'll be asked to pay a $200 non-refundable tuition deposit to hold your seat. And after that, you'll be invited to attend things like Get Started. Quinn mentioned the website earlier, but then we also host these events for students to come in and learn in more depth about their program and kind of what to expect to help you with that transition to college. If the program that you apply to doesn't have openings, often you'll be placed on a wait list. And how I described it before, just always make sure in your application, even if you notice a program has a wait list, put your first, like the one you really, really want to do, make sure you put that first because you'll always be considered for that option.
Just one point on the application too, that because today is open house and people qualify for no application fee, a link, it's in the chat, a link will be sent to you, but it's important that you use the same address for your application that you used for the registration for today's open house session.
Yeah, absolutely. So the link, make sure you have the same same email address. On the screen, if you have follow-up questions or general inquiries, you can email ecampus.info@nscc.ca. And what I'm going to try to do, so do we have any questions in the chat, Jason? I'm just going to see if I can take you on a quick tour. Hopefully, I'm thinking you're seeing my screen now.
No questions so
in
far.
the chat.
Okay, perfect. Are you guys seeing 2024, 2025 programs for eCampus?
Yes.
Sweet, okay. So I just want to take a minute because it can be really overwhelming visiting our website sometimes. So some of the things that I talked about, I'm just going to take you there quickly. So say, for example, you're interested in applying for the Library and Information Technology program. You can click on the link about the program. And here's where you can learn lots more about it. It's a program overview, but you can see, so for a diploma program, that's 1 year if you study full-time. A certificate program that we offer, that would be 1 year if you study full-time. So diploma 2 years, certificate 1 year, and it varies for part-time students. And that's what they're going to be talking about in more detail in their sessions later on today. It gives you an overview of kind of what to expect from the program. It talks about work experience, like I mentioned. It talks about study options. So part-time study with eCampus is you have 3 scheduled terms and you're done in 4 years. So that one, 4 years to complete a diploma program. Here you can learn more availability and where the programs are offered and how they're offered. The admissions requirements, so what you need to be accepted. So this one is high school diploma or equivalent plus academic grade 12 English. You can learn more about tuition and fees. So if you were to follow these links, it breaks it down by year and what to expect. A little bit more about employment options, and then a sampling of the courses that you will have in the program. So I just wanted to take you for a quick tour there so you can see what information is on our web to help you make a good choice that works for you. Did I miss anything, my fellow panelists?
You did great.
I think you covered the territory very well, Nikki.
I must have skipped past a slide as I think now, okay, what did I miss? We talked about African Canadian supports. There's also supports, and the slide looked very similar for Indigenous students. So we also have Indigenous student supports that would be able to link you to tutoring, to cultural events, funding options, scholarships, that type of thing. And of course, support, kind of general support for you.
I think just something to add, if you do become an eCampus student, sometimes it feels like it's just you and your computer, but we have a team here. We've got real people here to support you. It includes your instructors too. They're always willing to answer an email or meet one-on-one with you as well. So don't feel like you're alone. We're here to help you, but we do need to hear from you. So that's my main tip is communication as you're going through.
I think that's a great point, Quinn, and I would piggyback and say that the primary way that we communicate is through email. So get really familiar with using your email, and that usually sets you up for success.
And I think I'd like to emphasize that there's no such thing as a ridiculous question. There's only questions that you haven't yet found the answers to. So, you know, even in our jobs, you're looking at the faces on the screen today, some have been in their roles longer than others, and all of us are still learning. The curve is a little steeper than others, but it's a lifelong process. So ask questions so that you don't feel alone and kind of drifting.
Yeah, you never, sometimes I hear from students who they're apprehensive on reaching out because they don't want to bother their instructors, or, you know, they don't want to add more work, but we're paid to support you. We want to support you. So, you know, never feel like you're bothering us. Always reach out. We want to hear from you.
I'm not seeing any questions in the chat. Does anybody want to pose a question or?
Yeah, I've got a question
Andrea,
for
do you
you.
want to explain the draw? That was something that Jason just popped in the chat. Do you want to explain the draw, Andrea?
Sure. So everyone who registered for a session today will have their names entered into a draw as our way of saying thank you for attending the session. And the winners will receive a gift card, which will be mailed out to the address that's attached to your registration, which you should receive within, I'd say, about a week. Quinn, you said you had a question to pose, or missed that?
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking, like, I work with a lot of students who, they think of eCampus as much more flexible, and it really is. But Nikki, what are your thoughts on people working full time, like while studying online through eCampus? Like, is that something that's possible for folks, or like, yeah, what do you think about that?
It's choosing the right course load for kind of your life circumstance. So if working full time, then part-time study would be the option for you. And just kind of think about it, full-time study. So if you had to go to a physical campus and study from 8:30 to 2:30, 3:30, Monday through Friday, like that's kind of the volume of time that we'd be expecting at eCampus 2. The difference is that you don't have to be there from 8:30 to 2:30 every single day, but you do have to make time through asynchronous delivery to like have the same amount of time to apply to your studies. And then, working full time and life, it just makes it extremely difficult to balance. Have we had students that studied full time and worked full time? Yes. They lived and breathed school and work, and that was probably about it. We've had more students start out trying to do that and then quickly realize that it's not possible based on their life situation and things that are going on, and drop down to part-time. So it's not easy, even though we have flexibility, depending on the program, it's not easy to like transfer or switch from one to the other. The way that the courses and programs are designed is they're mapped out for you to know exactly how long it's going to take you to complete. So it's really important to, think about your life circumstances and how much time would you have to kind of dedicate to school. So if it's, I think I can carve out 20 hours, that's perfect. That's part-time study. If you are thinking, okay, I can carve out 35 to 40 hours, perfect. That's full-time study, but very few are successful at full-time work and full-time study.
Yeah, and I'd like to emphasize something that you just brought up, Nikki, and that it's not just about employment. It is about everything else in your life. And I'm speaking from personal experience as a person who went back to school as a mature student with a family, as a single parent, working part-time jobs. And the thing is, the feelings is that it rests all on your shoulders. It's really important for you to understand your support network. Who is in your cheering section? Family, friends. I relied on my parents. I relied on friends when it came to picking up kids at school or daycare, sick days. Talking to my faculty was really important because that they understood that I was a single parent with kids, so that if I wasn't in class, I was letting them know why I wasn't, but I also wasn't not attending. I put the emphasis where it needed to be, but calling on all that support network to let people know good communication is absolutely essential to juggle school and the rest of your life.
We had a question there about articulation agreements, and you'll have to forgive me. I think I replied to everybody there, but if I didn't, Jason, you should copy that over. Someone was just asking, where can I find information on articulation agreements with other institutions? And I put the link to our website there. We have over 70 nscc programs that have courses that can count towards a university degree. So if you visit our website, You can look up the specific program or area that you're interested in and see which formal articulation agreements we have with other post-secondary institutions, but also important to note that just because we don't have an articulation agreement with a post-secondary institution doesn't mean that there's not the possibility for you to transfer credits. So definitely you want to investigate that with the institution you're interested in studying with in the future as well.
Thanks,
And
Andrea.
again,
I know that something I like to tell students too, like people sometimes have this perception of college courses being different than university courses. But the fact that we have these articulation agreements kind of demonstrates that they will transfer into university. You know, if you're studying business administration online with us, you're taking university level courses that is going to prepare you to transfer into university later on too. So just, yeah, something I like to mention.
All right. I think that concludes our session for today. Thank you all for attending. Hope you got some great information out of the session. And if there's questions that pop up after you leave, don't forget to reach out. You can message ecampus.info@nscc.ca and we'll be able to help you. Oh, one other thing, this self-directed eCampus session. You can discover more. I think, Jason, you're going to pop this in the chat. In addition to the live sessions, we have a self-directed option where you can watch virtual program information sessions delivered by some of the faculty. Not all the programs are there, unfortunately, but many of the School of Business ones and School of Access are there. So you can go check that out as well. All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Participating.